Hey guys, MaliciousCompliance here, and today I am here for the last day of r/MaliciousCompliance, which means this story is going to be our last story, the last story of the episode. But I have 4 others that I got to get through all the way down here. There we go. So I've got 2 mediums and 3 shorts for you. Or 2 shorts, I don't know about the other one that I found. Skip on a high school senior tradition? Never. But how about a double serving of malicious compliance instead? Sorry about that. That was the table. I was just moving it up a little bit. This isn't my story, but it happened to some high school classmates of mine in the late 1990s. Unfortunately, I wasn't smart enough to be part of it. The AP Calculus class teacher had a tradition that held up for at least a decade, where if you brought your college acceptance letter, you'd be invited to his breakfast club. Essentially, instead of taking the math final exam for the year, he provided transportation to the local IHOP, buy everyone breakfast, and shoot the breeze together. The gesture was a popular and welcome one. After all, these were the brightest kids in the school, the top 10%, including the valedictorian and the salutatorian, the captain of the debate team, and others. Taking a final exam when they were already assured their places in Ivy League schools was a pointless formality after all. The year this story happened, however, there was a new teacher who made a big deal about how unfair the breakfast club was. Funny enough, her name was Karen. The school's vice principal came in and told the class that they would stay in school with everyone else and take the final exam, or else they'd face in-school suspension. The AP Calculus teacher had his hands tied. So, on the day of the test, a Friday, the whole class came in and took their test, which consisted of a single question. What's your name? The students looked up to see a shit-eating grin on the teacher's face, and they quickly caught on. Everyone filled in their papers, submitted them, and then off they went to IHOP. Perfect scores for everyone. By the time the weekend was over, the whole school knew the story, and Karen must have complained to the vice principal once more because he came and gave in-school suspension tickets for the entire class. It was a truly odd sight to see the school geniuses file into the ISS room, only to find their AP Calculus teacher who had volunteered for motor duties or swapped with the normal monitor or something. And he brought bags of bagels, cream cheese, white fish spread, and butter for everyone serving suspension that day. Mr. Buckley, you're a legend. Edit. Forgot a detail. I love how your edit is just forgot a detail. But that teacher is the best. Right there. That teacher deserves an A+ for being a legend. Want to be called by a formal name? No problem. However, you must do the same. Years ago, I was working for a university as a secretary for a rather large department. I was told by the chair to call everyone by their first name rather than their formal Dr. So-and-so. I complied, and life went on with me using informal names and them doing the same for me. However, about a year later, I called to Dr. So-and-so in the next room and asked a question. It was benign enough and still respectful using his first name. Not long after, I received an email. He addressed it to Risley and stated that I needed to call him Dr. So-and-so and not use his first name. I knew this was a way to establish his superiority over me, but I would not have it. I may have been secretary, but I was still a human being who deserved respect too. Here is where the malicious compliance came into play. I wrote him an email back addressing him as so-and-so. I agreed to call him by his full name, but I insist that he do the same for me. I am no longer silly, but Mrs. Doe. I copied the department chair and executive aide so they were in the loop. He went to the chair to complain, but she sided with me. And so it began. From then on out, it was Dr. So-and-so on every correspondence, and when I spoke to him, if he addressed me as Cicely, I would remind him that I wanted to be addressed as Mrs. Doe, and would not answer until he addressed me as such. This really got on his nerve. He did not want to be the only one to call me by the formal, as it messed with his need for superiority over peon. It took only less than a week before he wrote me again. This time, it was to say to call him Paul instead of Dr. So-and-so. No apology to me, just a resounding white flag surrender. I took it as a small win for the peons and proceeded to call him Paul. I worked in that department for 8 years and we never had another problem like this. On a side note, I always call him Dr. So-and-so in front of and to the students, as most wanted to be addressed as such in their classes. Several are saying that I'm being petty and should not have addressed him as doctor since he earned that title. Should have addressed him as doctor since he earned that title. Well, I totally agree that he earned that title. He did not earn the right to treat me differently than others in the office staff because I was low man on the office totem pole. If all the others can address him by the first name, I should have the same courtesy. If he insisted on the formal, so did I. War. That's basically the declaration of the name war. You want to be known by Dr. So-and-so? Okay, call me by my last name as well then. And I will not respond until you do that. Every time. Just to piss you off. Poured water on a girl at school. Teacher saw it and sent me to the principal. Wrote an essay, and she got detention. How does that happen? Something happened like 15 years ago at high school. During breaks at school, I'd be hanging around with my mates, and there was this girl, nicknamed Flea, because she was small and annoying. She was quite the annoyance, but we largely ignored her. One day it got too much, and I poured my water bowl over her. Unfortunately, there was a teacher course, and she saw what happened. Cue me being sent to the principal's office. Principal was naturally rather unimpressed by my behavior and told me to write an essay on what I had done and why it was inappropriate, indicating that I received detention at the end of it. Now, the malicious compliance, instead of writing 1-page essay requested, I wrote 3 pages, detailing the months of annoyance and abuse and how we were constantly trying to avoid her, even moving locations where we hung out. I detailed how she would jump on our backs trying to knock us off balance, causing us to fall several times, pull our hair, and the pièce de résistance of the essay, the dozens of times she tried to grab and kick our nuts. I got really good at catching approaching feet with my thighs. I handed in my essay and waited for them to tell me how much detention I got. The principal came out of his office, said I was free to go, and told the teacher to bring the girl in. She ended up getting detention. I called to her parents, and she didn't bother us again. Bonus story, similar vein. Another girl I poured a drink on, this time red fizzy, a white school uniform. She was constantly stealing our hacky sack, so one day I saw her run for it as it fell. Stepped on it so she couldn't get it. She was trying to wrench it out from under my foot, so I poured most of my can of red Miranda slowly on her back. Poured half my drink out before she ran away. Nothing came of that one. Although I figured out years later she actually liked me, so she screwed that one up. Oh. You've ruined the crush. Like, you made a girl not like you anymore. I love how you just had to really explain. You got good at catching approaching feet with your thighs. But jeez, she tried to. get in there and grab your nuts and get on dick twist. How about the dick twist? Kick you in the nuts. Why? The last few days have just been all nut related. Why the nuts? I would say I was joking, but I'm not. Just in the last, the movie I watched yesterday, there was some nut pain. And so far in the movie that I've been watching, but I've paused at the moment, there's also been at least one nut shot. So, yes, nut pain is on my radar, apparently. Never piss off your tattoo artist. Actually, no, that's not the one I was looking at. My dad's girlfriend has a wrist tattoo. I did not notice there was a second tattoo artist, a tattoo-related one. Ugh. My dad's girlfriend has a wrist tattoo and recently got a job. She was told to cover up the tattoo because it violates God's image of a woman. She tried to cover it up with makeup, but they said that the different tone of makeup made it more obvious. They told her that she had to find a way to cover up the tattoo cleanly or she would be fired. Keep in mind, she works in a building where she's never seen by the customers. She just answers phone calls and writes messages for people. So she tried putting a bandage on it. They said that made the area look like she had tried to slit her wrist and told her to find another way. So she finally comes to me with this problem. I am very petty and take all things literally. So I ask her, do you have any bracelets you could wear to cover it up? She brings out this box full of the noisiest metal bracelets I've ever seen. So the next day, she comes to work and both her wrists are covered in these bracelets. You can hear her from coming a mile away. Her boss told her she could expose the tattoo. Edit, I should clarify, this is an ex of my father's. This happened about 3 years ago. For those of you wondering, the tattoo in question kind of looked kind of like this with some slight differences. Really? I can't zoom in on it. It's like a woman under an umbrella. What's wrong with that? Last one, I promise. I'm reading through all the comments and loving all the civil discussion and trading of knowledge and research that this post has generated. Oh, that's cool. We got a surprise story coming in from left field. Never piss off your tattoo artist. We're gonna do double tattoos. Being Friday the 30th while waiting for my tattoo, I was reminded of a situation a few years ago with my friend Liz, who's my primary artist, and an especially Karen type lady, and a Kyle-esque boyfriend, double K for both, who came in to get cheap ass tattoos. I watched this whole thing go down, but wasn't involved per se. So Liz was doing a quick custom job on me and my buddy Chris. Yes, we got matching tattoos. Star Wars yin yang for those wondering. I went second so Liz and I could catch up. Double K bypassed the massive line out the door and down the stairs and walked straight up to the artist area to try to skip the line. This was shut down pretty quick as they were told there's a huge wait in front of them and they'll have to go to the back of the line. Well, Double K didn't like this one bit and decided to throw a fit. Like legit trying to pull me out of the chair because he's getting what he wants and I was here first. She wasn't. I was here at 8 AM to help Liz load in OJ and donuts and the 10 people in line before me knew this too. Well, one of the artists just finished and said, I'll take you two. We were all kind of flabbergasted by this, but Liz got this big shit-eating grin on her face, so I knew something was up. I figured the dude would do a terrible job, go too deep, use the wrong needle, something just to royally fuck up their day, but he did none of this. He pulled his flash sheet and said, pick one. Karen picked something and he asked where she wants it. Back of her ankle. So dude gets to work freehanding it while Double K keeps looking at the line like they won or something. Well, they did win something. The smallest tattoo I've ever seen. This thing was no bigger than a dime. from 10 feet away, all I could see was a little black dot on her leg, like, that looked like more of a mole than a tattoo. Double K lost it, screaming about him assaulting her and forcing her to get a tattoo, and they're going to call the cops and all that. Then they tried to skip out without paying. They were rather impolitely informed that theft of service is a felony and that the cops are only 10 minutes away. They tried to pay up the $13, but that's where the guy's brilliance shone through. At his sheet said custom at the top. All custom tattoos were $31. Not only did this lady have a very tiny and very intricately detailed tattoo, she only had a 50 on her, and they had a big ass sign at the register that said simply no change. Double K ended up paying the shop minimum anyway, but she got her tattoo ahead of the line. Oh, I love that. I want to get a tattoo myself. Like, I've done a video on my main channel where I talked about the tattoos that I would want to get. Like, yeah, I would like to get, like, the tattoos that I want to get, though, aren't work appropriate. That's the problem. I just dislike that. It's annoying. Like, yes, I cannot be myself and have the tattoos that I want if I want to get a job. Thank you. Just thank you. And that's why I want to do YouTube as well. Like, yeah. I want to get a certain tattoo that would basically not allow me to get a damn job. Like, why? It's not like I'm getting a tattoo that's offensive or rude in any way. It's just, oh, it's a cool design, I want to get it. No, you cannot if you want to get a damn job. It's like, fine. If I was able to get it looking realistic enough, I could actually just pass it off as what it is, a robotic hand design. And just like, I have a robot arm. I can pass that off as a joke. And then I turn around and be like, no, this is actually my arm. Just with a really good tattoo. Anyways, last story of r/MaliciousCompliance. We're doing the top of all time for it. HOA won't let us fly a modest pride flag, so we just follow the rules. Due to some neighbours flying BLM flags, thin blue line flags, and other opinion flags, our HOA decided last month that we're only allowed to fly the USA flag and nothing else. The day after the decision, we received an email that someone reported a pride flag that we had in our house since 2016, and that we needed to take it down. We complied and removed the flag. Looking through our new rules, we noticed that removable lights are permitted without restriction. So we brought 6 coloured floodlights, and we washed our house in pride colours, a little less subtle than a simple flag. A lot more fun for anyone complaining about the flag itself and what it represents. If you're interested, here's the house now. Let's see it. Nah. Oh, that's actually looks really cool. And it's a good way of supporting your pride, like supporting pride. It's cool. To point out that the flag was displayed on the front porch, not inside the house. It was a typo when I saw it we had in our house. Well, that is just brilliant. Brilliant thinking. Like, oh, I can't have a flag up. Okay, we'll make a whole house into a flag. And that is it for r/MaliciousCompliance. We are officially done with it. We're moving on to bigger and more epic revenges with petty revenge. Links will be in the description to my main channel and also this channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Ding, ding. Links will also be on screen to the playlist and the last episode. I'll see you all in r/petty revenge tomorrow. I'm Mad Scientist out.